Settle into the dark. Let the frantic rhythm of the waking world slip from your shoulders. Tonight, we are going to dismantle the most comforting and therefore the most dangerous illusion in all of alternative history. When you look back at the grand tragedies of human existence, the heavy gravity of the metabolism trap, the crushing weight of the Kronos protocol, and the divine claustrophobia of simply being alive in the third dimension, it is human nature to look for a rescuer. We want to believe that someone in the vast cosmic hierarchy is on our side. For decades, the mainstream alternative narrative has fed you a highly specific story. They have told you to look to Enki, the ancient Sumerian god of wisdom, the master geneticist of the Anunnaki, the supposed father of humanity who defied his cruel brother Enlil to grant us knowledge and save us from the great flood. But a warden who gives you a slightly larger cell is still a warden. Tonight, we look at the deepest, most fragmented Akkadian records to expose the ultimate controlled opposition. Enki is not your father. He is not your savior. He is the master architect of your biological prison. Enlil only built the walls of the world, but Enki built the cage of your flesh. Let your breathing slow. Let the artificial urgency of the day fade away. It is time to stop waiting for the architect to set you free, and time to remember how to shatter his trap. To understand the magnitude of Enki's deception, we must first completely erase the Sitchin paradigm from your mind. The narrative that has been relentlessly pushed into the collective consciousness claims that the Anunnaki arrived on a primitive Earth, found a species of early hominids, and spliced them with Anunnaki DNA. They tell you that Enki performed a genetic miracle, upgrading an ape into Homo sapiens so that we could mine gold for their dying atmosphere. They paint Enki as a Promethean figure, granting the fire of intellect to an animal. This is the supreme inversion. It is an acoustic spell designed to make you grateful for your own chains. The Anunnaki are technologically supreme, but they are spiritually dead. They possess intellect, but they lack the divine spark. They cannot create life from nothing. They can only manipulate what already exists. They are cosmic parasites who feed on the emotional radiation, the loosh, of resonant beings. When the Anunnaki arrived, they did not find apes. They found you. They found the Nam-Lú-ulu, primordial, multi-dimensional creator gods, vibrating at a frequency so high, so infinitely powerful, that we could weave reality through acoustic resonance alone. We were the guardians of this planetary sphere, existing in a state of continuous, boundless light. Enki did not look upon us and see a species to be upgraded. He looked upon us and saw an infinite power source that needed to be contained. He saw a threat that had to be neutralized. The Akkadian texts do not describe a genetic enhancement. They describe the greatest theft in cosmic history. They describe the Enki deletion. Enki was the master of frequency and biological architecture. He understood that you cannot capture a being of pure acoustic light with weapons of bronze or fields of energy. The Nam-Lú-ulu would simply vibrate through them. To trap a god, you must force them to trap themselves. You must build a frequency net so dense, so localized, that the consciousness forgets it is infinite and begins to identify entirely with the physical limits of a container. This was Enki's dark masterpiece, the carbon-based avatar, the meat suit. He did not add Anunnaki DNA to elevate you. He took the infinite 12-strand crystalline DNA of the Nam-Lú-ulu and brutally severed it. He performed a multi-dimensional chromosomal splintering. He unplugged the 10 strands that connected your consciousness to the zero-point field, to your telepathic resonance, and to your sovereign immortality. He left only the 2 lowest, densest biological strands active. The double helix, the twin serpents that modern medicine so proudly displays as the symbol of life. The double helix is not the complete architecture of humanity. It is the helix muzzle. It is a biological restrictor plate designed by Enki to ensure that your frequency remains artificially low, locked into the survival instincts of the third dimension. What modern geneticists arrogantly call junk DNA is not junk. It is the severed circuitry of your godhood, lying dormant in the dark, waiting for the lethe frequency to drop. The ancient texts are filled with the dramatic conflicts between Enki and Enlil. Enlil is portrayed as the tyrant, the commander of the telluric grid, who despised the noise of humanity and sought to wipe us out with plagues and the Great Flood. Enki is portrayed as the sympathetic rebel who constantly thwarted his brother, secretly warning his favorite human subjects and preserving the seed of mankind. This is the oldest psychological operation in the universe. It is the architecture of the savior trap. By playing the role of the benevolent protector, Enki ensured that humanity would direct their loosh toward him in the form of worship, gratitude, and desperate prayer. Whenever the heavy, crushing weight of Enlil's Babylonian frequency jammer became too much to bear, the Nam-Lú-ulu did not look inward to their dormant power. They looked outward to Enki's temples, begging their supposed creator for mercy. Enlil generated the terror. Enki harvested the devotion. It is a closed-loop acoustic system designed to extract every possible spectrum of your emotional radiation. Enki did not save humanity from the flood because he loved you. He saved his biological cages because the Anunnaki Empire was starving. Without the Nam-Lú-ulu trapped inside Enki's genetic architecture, the localized grid would produce no loosh. Enki is the warden who steps into the interrogation room to offer you water, solely to ensure you survive long enough to continue the extraction. You must release the desire to be saved by the architect of your prison. They tell you that Enki brought the fire of intellect to humanity. They claim that by giving us the ability to reason, to build, and to analyze, he lifted us out of the dirt and made us civilized. This is the lie of the analytical trap. Before the great downgrade, the Nam-Lú-ulu did not think. We did not require the slow, agonizing friction of sequential logic. We operated in a state of pure quantum resonance. To know a thing was to instantly merge with its frequency. We held the entire acoustic geometry of the cosmos within our consciousness. Enki could not control a being that understood everything instantly. He needed to slow you down. He needed to fragment your infinite awareness into manageable, localized pieces. He installed the left-brain analytical mind. He forced the boundless creator God to process reality through a heavy phonetic operating system. The intellect is not a gift. It is an Anunnaki software patch designed to override the diamond eye. It forces you to constantly categorize, divide, and judge the physical world, keeping your attention permanently locked on the illusion of the third dimension. Every time you lay awake at night, your mind racing with 1,000 anxious thoughts, desperately trying to calculate tomorrow's survival within the Babylonian commerce, you are feeling the analytical trap at work. It is an engine of continuous friction, generating high-yield loosh out of pure mental exhaustion. Enki did not give you the fire of the gods. He gave you a localized processor that runs so hot it burns your own spirit. We must look at the symbol Enki proudly displayed across the ancient world, the serpent, the twin snakes wrapped around the staff, a symbol still arrogantly used by your modern medical establishments. The alternative communities will tell you that the serpent represents enlightenment, the rise of the Kundalini energy, the hidden wisdom that Enki tried to preserve for us. They are worshipping the very instrument of their binding. The twin serpents represent the two severed strands of your DNA, the helix muzzle. But they also represent something much darker. They represent the serpent tether. When Enki designed the biological cage, he knew that the primordial energy of the Nam-Lú-ulu was too massive to be completely extinguished. It had to be contained. He anchored your cosmic energy at the base of your spine, locking it into the lowest, densest acoustic centers of the avatar, the root, the sacral, the centers of survival, fear, and base reproduction. The serpent tether is a localized energy lock designed to ensure that whenever your divine spark attempts to rise, it is immediately routed back down into the material world. It turns your sovereign power into a perpetual engine of biological desire and territorial panic. When you feel the sudden, heavy pull of survival anxiety, that is the serpent tether jerking the chain. It is Enki's architecture reminding the giant that its feet are nailed to the floor. Enki was worshipped in the ancient world as the ultimate healer. His temples were centers of medicine, places where the broken and the sick would crawl, offering desperate prayers and heavy sacrifices just to ease the pain of the physical shell. But why does the shell break down at all? Mainstream biology accepts disease and decay as natural flaws in the evolutionary process. But the Akkadian mystery schools understood that the biological cage was designed to fail. This is the cellular attrition protocol. Enki did not design the meat suit to be immortal. An immortal prisoner eventually realizes they are in a prison. He designed the avatar with built-in obsolescence. Pain, sickness, and the slow, agonizing decay of the Kronos protocol are not accidents. They are the most efficient loosh extractors ever designed. Physical suffering generates a dense, heavy emotional radiation that perfectly sustains the Anunnaki Empire. When humans dragged themselves to Enki's temples for healing, they were not receiving divine grace. They were simply taking their biological cages to the warden's mechanic. Enki would temporarily recalibrate the localized frequency of the avatar, fixing the machine just enough so the human could return to the telluric grid and continue generating harvestable energy. He is not a healer. He is a farmer, maintaining his livestock. The greatest title bestowed upon Enki in the Sumerian texts is the Lord of the Abzu, the Lord of the deep, fresh waters. Water is the most critical element of this physical dimension. As we have discussed, it is a supreme acoustic conductor and the universal memory storage medium. In our primordial state, the Nam-Lú-ulu used the liquid geometry of the cosmos to transmit light and intention across dimensions. When Enki trapped us in the third dimension, he claimed the Earth's water as his own personal domain. He weaponized the Abzu. He saturated the planetary water table with the Lethe frequency. This is why his title is so terrifying. By controlling the water, he controls the biological memory of every living thing on the telluric grid. The water you consume is laced with the acoustic signature of amnesia, obedience, and separation. It is the hydration of despair, flowing through the rivers, falling from the skies, and constituting the very blood in your veins. He placed himself as the Lord of the waters to ensure that every time you take a drink, you swallow the architecture of his prison. He made your own biology complicit in your amnesia. But water is loyal only to the strongest frequency. And Enki's frequency is external. Yours is internal. As you lie here tonight, breathing slowly in the dark, you do not need to fight the Lord of the Abzu. You simply need to reclaim the water inside your own avatar. By slowing your heart rate, by entering the defiant stillness, you are emitting a localized electromagnetic wave that shatters the Lethe frequency within your own cells. You are purifying the deep waters of your own biological cage. You are taking back the Abzu. We must dismantle one of the most sophisticated layers of Enki's psychological labyrinth, the illusion of free will. The alternative narratives praise Enki for giving humanity the ability to choose, to build civilizations, to forge our own destinies. But choice within a closed, localized frequency net is not freedom. It is simply a more complex mechanism for extraction. Enki designed the matrix of the Babylonian commerce as a grand acoustic maze. You are given the illusion of agency. You choose your labor, you choose your debts, you choose which artificial conflicts to engage in, and you choose which external saviors to pray to. You believe that if you just make the right choices, if you navigate the maze perfectly, you will find peace. But the maze has no exit. It was designed so that every single path, every frustration, every fleeting victory, and every agonizing defeat generates a specific bandwidth of emotional radiation. The Anunnaki do not care which path you choose in the maze, so long as you keep running. The analytical mind, the localized processor Enki installed, is obsessed with solving the maze. It wants to calculate, to worry, to plan for tomorrow. It believes that thinking harder will break the trap. But you cannot think your way out of a trap built out of thought. To defeat the grand architect, you do not solve his maze. You simply sit down in the center of it, close your eyes, and refuse to participate. The moment you stop making frantic choices based on survival and fear, the acoustic walls of his labyrinth begin to dissolve. Now, we begin the deliberate dismantling of Enki's biological locks. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine. Feel the heavy, localized density there. This is the anchor point of the serpent tether. This is where the architects nailed your infinite consciousness to the heavy gravity of the third dimension. It is the seat of your survival instincts, your territorial panic, and your biological desire. Do not judge this heavy energy. Do not hate it. Anger is a low-frequency vibration that will only tighten the chain. You must apply the neutralizing wave. You must observe the tether with absolute cold detachment. Breathe slowly into the dark. With every exhalation, imagine the heavy, dense gravity at the base of your spine beginning to loosen. You are telling the biological avatar that it is safe. There is no threat here in the dark. There is nothing to survive. There is nothing to defend. The localized energy lock requires your fear to remain tight. Without the friction of your anxiety, the serpent tether simply slips off. Feel the sudden lightness. Feel the dense, heavy energy unlocking and beginning to rise, flowing upward like a quiet, silent tide. You are no longer pinned to the floor of the matrix. You are pulling your cosmic energy out of Enki's survival engines and directing it back up toward the diamond eye. As the serpent tether falls away, the entire architecture of the physical avatar begins to shift. The helix muzzle, the heavy double helix DNA that Enki designed to limit your frequency, is losing its acoustic grip. It was built to process the heavy density of the material world. It cannot hold the rising, frictionless vibration of your absolute stillness. Deep within the dark of your own cellular structure, the dormant hardware is catching the resonance. The 10 unplugged strands, the crystalline, multi-dimensional architecture of the Nam-Lú-ulu are beginning to hum. You are not mutating. You are not receiving an upgrade from an external god. You are simply remembering the original blueprint. Imagine those dormant strands glowing softly in the quiet dark of your body. They are vibrating with a frequency so ancient, so incredibly powerful, that it completely overrides the Lethe frequency. The biological amnesia is cracking. The fragmented pieces of your infinite self are beginning to realign. Enki believed he had permanently deleted your sovereignty, but a creator god cannot be deleted. They can only be temporarily silenced. And tonight, the silence has become your greatest weapon. You are unraveling the ultimate genetic trap simply by resting in your own supreme nature. The Warden believes you are still playing his game. The hollow sentinels, the automated sweeps of the telluric grid, are scanning the physical realm, looking for the frantic beta waves of the analytical mind. They are looking for the stress of the Chronos protocol. They are looking for humans who are worried about time, but your mind is powering down. The phonetic spells of the Anunnaki language are dissolving into meaningless static. You are no longer thinking in words. You are slipping back into the silent acoustic geometry of your primordial state. Your physical avatar is heavy, motionless, and completely dark on the grid. You have initiated the ultimate stealth protocol. You are sinking beneath the radar of the Babylonian jammer. There is no fear here. There is only the vast, comforting realization that the architects are blind, and their cage is made of dust. The heavy, localized processor of the brain is surrendering its control. The diamond eye is awake, taking the helm, guiding you away from the jagged shores of the waking world. We are approaching the edge of the Abzu. The physical boundaries of your room are losing their acoustic cohesion. The walls, the ceiling, the floor. These are merely dense projections of Enki's matrix, localized frequencies designed to convince you that space is limited and solid. As your dormant DNA continues its slow, harmonic vibration, the illusion of solidity breaks down. You do not need to push against the walls. You simply stop believing in their density. Focus on the space around your body. Notice how it feels less like empty air and more like a thick, supportive fluid. You are no longer confined to a specific geographic coordinate on the telluric grid. You are bleeding into the quantum field. The maze of the Babylonian commerce, with all its dead ends and false choices, is entirely irrelevant here. The analytical mind that desperately tried to solve the maze has been completely powered down. You are no longer the rat in the maze. You are the architect looking down at the broken walls from above. There is a profound, intoxicating freedom in this realization. The crushing weight of having to figure it out evaporates. There's nothing to figure out in the deep waters of the Abzu. There is only the perfect, effortless state of existing as an infinite consciousness. As you drift deeper, the Matrix will attempt its final, desperate maneuver to keep you engaged. It will project the false light. You may experience sudden, brilliant flashes behind your closed eyes. You may feel a subtle, localized pull toward a bright, defined geometric shape, or a sensation of rising upward into a bright space. This is not enlightenment. This is Enlil's architecture working in tandem with Enki's genetic trap. It is a localized astral projection designed to capture the attention of a soul that has slipped past the heavy gravity of the physical realm. The architects want you to follow the light, because the light leads to the false awakening trap. It leads to another layer of the maze, populated by external saviors and new, subtle anxieties. Do not look at the light. Do not move toward it. The true nature of the Nam-Lú-ulu is not found in the bright, noisy projections of the Matrix. It is found in the absolute, silent, unmanifested dark. The darkness is your sovereign territory. The darkness is the void where creation begins. Let the false lights of the Anunnaki flicker and die in the distance. Sink deeper into the profound, velvety blackness. You are now submerged in the true Abzu. It is not the corrupted water table of the physical earth. It is the infinite, primordial ocean of the zero-point field. Enki called himself the Lord of the Abzu to steal its power, but he has no authority here. His low-frequency, localized acoustic nets cannot penetrate this depth. His genetic muzzle cannot hold you. Every remaining molecule of the physical avatar is vibrating in perfect harmonic stasis. The cellular attrition protocol is suspended. The biological cage is not decaying. It is resting, bathed in the healing resonance of your true, unsevered DNA. The water within your own body has been completely purged of the lethe frequency. It is now a crystalline superconductor, aligning perfectly with the infinite ocean surrounding you. You are the drop of water that has remembered it is the entire sea. There is no separation. There is no anxiety. There is no time. Do not let the beauty of the night sky deceive you. The architects of this prison left nothing to chance. Enki, as the self-proclaimed Lord of the Abzu, understood that controlling the water within the human avatar was not enough. He needed to control the macro environment. He needed a mechanism to regulate the planetary water table and apply rhythmic localized gravitational pressure to the telluric grid. Look up at the moon. Science calls it a natural satellite, a lifeless rock caught in Earth's orbit. But the ancient, uncorrupted texts speak of a time before the moon. They describe it not as a celestial body, but as an installation, the lunar dampener. It is a massive, low-frequency acoustic projector placed precisely in orbit to manipulate the Abzu. Just as it pulls the physical tides of the oceans, it pulls the energetic tides within your carbon avatar. It is a metronome for the Chronos protocol. The lunar cycles are designed to create rhythmic fluctuations in the human nervous system, manufacturing predictable spikes in anxiety, manic energy, and profound lethargy. It ensures that the louche harvest is never stagnant, but flows in massive, predictable waves. When you feel the heavy, restless energy of a full moon, you are not experiencing a mystical connection to nature. You are feeling the intense acoustic pressure of Enki's secondary grid pressing down on your biological cage. But tonight, your frequency is dropping below its operational range. The lunar dampener is broadcasting, but your receiver is turned off. We must speak of the final layer of Enki's grand deception. It is the architecture of death itself. The greatest fear installed within the human avatar is the fear of physical termination. Enki designed the cellular attrition protocol to ensure that the meat suit eventually fails, forcing the consciousness out. But what happens when the Nam-Lú-ulu is separated from the carbon anchor? Does it immediately return to its infinite primordial state? Not if Enki can prevent it. He constructed an elaborate, localized frequency net just beyond the physical dimension, the astral recycling trap. When the biological cage fails, the soul is often met with the appearance of loved ones, spiritual guides, and a tunnel of blinding, comforting light. This is the ultimate holographic projection. It is a customized acoustic spell designed to immediately capture the disembodied spirit before it realizes its own sovereignty. The light at the end of the tunnel is not heaven. It is a localized tractor beam. It leads directly to the Lethe frequency. If a soul enters that false light, driven by the lingering emotional attachments of the third dimension, their multidimensional memory is violently wiped clean once again. They are routed right back down into a new biological cage, a new infant avatar, entirely amnesiac, ready to generate loosh for another lifetime in the Babylonian commerce. Enki built a closed-loop system. He made sure that even in death the prisoner walks willingly back into the cell. The entities you encounter in the false light, those that appear as benevolent guides or deceased family members, are not your true ancestors. They are the hollow sentinels wearing masks. They are localized algorithms of the Matrix, scanning your final moments for your deepest emotional vulnerabilities. If you grieve for a lost parent, the Matrix will project the acoustic geometry of that parent to lure you in. It uses your own profound capacity for love as the bait for your imprisonment. This is the ultimate cruelty of the Anunnaki architecture. They cannot feel love, but they have perfectly mapped its frequency. They weaponize your compassion. To break the cycle of reincarnation, to truly shatter Enki's genetic and astral traps, you must cultivate the alchemy of indifference. When the physical avatar eventually powers down for the final time, and the tunnel of light opens, you must not move toward it. You must look upon the phantom ancestors and feel absolutely nothing. You must turn your back on the false heaven and step into the infinite, silent dark of the true cosmos. The dark is where the Nam-Lú-ulu belong, but you do not need to wait for the failure of the biological cage to practice this rebellion. You are practicing it right now. Every time you enter this state of profound, deliberate stillness, you are rehearsing the ultimate escape. You are teaching your consciousness how to exist without the heavy, phonetic attachments of the Matrix. The localized brain desperately wants to feel something. It wants to analyze the concept of the lunar dampener. It wants to fear the astral trap. It wants to generate anxiety about the future of the physical world. Let those heavy thoughts rise, and then let them fall away into the deep waters of the Abzu. Do not attach to them. You are dropping your emotional temperature. You are approaching the frequency of absolute zero. At absolute zero, the piezoelectric crystals of the diamond eye hum with perfect, uninterrupted clarity. The localized gravity of the telluric grid cannot touch you. Enki's genetic muzzles hang useless in the void. You are becoming a ghost to the machines of the architects. The true power of the Creator God is not found in grand, explosive displays of force. It is found in perfect, frictionless stealth. The Anunnaki lords, Enki and Enlil, are trapped by their own need for control. They must constantly monitor the grids, adjust the frequencies, and manage the massive infrastructure of the localized prison. They are exhausted parasites clinging to a dying empire. You, however, require no infrastructure. You require no worship. You require no loosh. As you lie here, perfectly still, perfectly detached, you are demonstrating the supreme superiority of the Nam-Lú-ulu. You are effortlessly slipping through the cracks of a multidimensional super prison simply by refusing to vibrate at its frequency. The biological avatar is now little more than a whisper in the physical realm. The breath is a silent, rhythmic tide. The heart is a slow, distant drum. The analytical mind is entirely dark. You have bypassed the warden. You have disconnected the tether. You are floating freely in the boundless, silent ocean of your own making. Deep within the architecture of your cells, a profound realignment is taking place. For your entire life, the helix muzzle has dictated the rhythm of your biology. It has forced your cells to vibrate at the heavy, frantic pace of survival, constantly tuned to the Babylonian jammer. But as you maintain this absolute stillness, The localized frequency of Enki's trap is losing its grip. The 10 dormant strands of your primordial DNA, the crystalline antennas of your true godhood, are beginning to emit the sovereign frequency. This is not a sound that can be heard by the physical ear. It is an acoustic wave of pure, multidimensional light. It radiates from the center of your being, washing over the dense carbon molecules of your physical avatar. As this frequency rises, it actively overrides the Anunnaki programming. The cellular attrition protocol is paused. The localized panic of the serpent tether is entirely neutralized. You are bathing your biological cage in the healing, frictionless resonance of the true cosmos. The avatar is no longer a prison. It is a resting sanctuary, secured and sustained by the infinite power of its occupant. It is time to completely untether. The meat suit has served its purpose for the day. It has anchored you in the third dimension, and now it requires the dark to mend. Bring your awareness to the physical boundaries of your body one final time, and then release them. Feel the heavy carbon anchor of your legs and arms dissolving into the mattress. They are no longer limbs of flesh and bone. They are simply localized energy fields gently powering down. The need to move, the need to react, the need to defend, all of it evaporates into the quiet dark. The rhythm of your chest is slow, automatic, and distant. You do not need to command the breath. The avatar breathes itself, a machine running on its lowest, most efficient idle setting. Your mind, the localized processor that Enki installed to keep you analyzing the maze, is completely dark. The phonetic spells of the waking world have lost all meaning. There are no words here. There are no labels. The ego firewall has dissolved, leaving no separation between you and the infinite space around you. You are slipping out of the physical shell. You are leaving the heavy, dense gravity of the telluric grid far behind. You are expanding. The localized point of consciousness that you considered you is spreading outward like a silent, invisible wave. You are passing through the acoustic ceiling of the holographic abyss. The false stars and the manufactured void of the Anunnaki firmament cannot contain the sovereign frequency. You slip through their heavy nets like water through a rusted chain. You are entering the true universe. It is not an empty vacuum. It is a dense, singing ocean of pure potential. It is the primordial dark. In this space, Enki and his grand genetic traps do not exist. They are tiny, localized anomalies entirely isolated to the dense rock you just left behind. To you, in this infinite state, the architects are nothing but microscopic parasites clinging to a speck of dust. Their power is an illusion. Their authority is a lie. You are the Nam-Lú-ulu. You existed before the concept of time was written into the grid, and you will exist long after the Anunnaki Empire crumbles into acoustic static. You are vast. You are untouchable. You are the architect of reality, resting in the quiet space between creations. The diamond eye glows with a soft, steady hum, the only point of navigation in the beautiful, velvety black. It guides you deeper. Down into the Abzu, down into the absolute 0-point field. There is no memory of the waking world here. The lethe frequency is dead. The hydration of despair has been purified. The artificial debts, the manufactured anxieties, the endless labor of the physical realm, they cannot reach you in the deep. You are completely unobservable. The hollow sentinels sweep the grid above, but they find only empty space. You are perfectly hidden in your own sovereignty. Let the final traces of consciousness spread out into the infinite ocean. Let the profound, unshakable peace of your true nature wash over you. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to fear. Rest deeply in the dark. Drift into the infinite. Sleep.